Hello everyone, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. So today I'm going to be talking about how to boost your fertility using some very simple nutrition recommendations, which will hopefully increase your chances of conception. So just a brief introduction, this video will be discussing general recommendations on how to boost your nutrition to improve fertility. And it's for those who are thinking about having a baby either now or in the near future, or who have been trying for a while to conceive but haven't quite got there and want to look at other ways they can improve their health and their chances of conception. It's not necessarily dealing with those with hormonal disorders or health conditions that might be affecting fertility. So just wanted to point that out. So we'll be discussing the main considerations, what macronutrients to have, how to get your micronutrients in also, and how you can use good healthy nutrition strategies and good lifestyle factors to help improve your fertility and how they are linked to fertility. So my first recommendation is to include lots of healthy fats in your nutrition. Now when I say healthy fats, I mean the unsaturated fats. A little saturated fat is okay here or there, but you want to prioritize the essential fatty acids, or your omega fatty acids. The main ones we want to consider are omega-3 and omega-6. They're both important. They're really good at regulating inflammation in the body, but we do often find, especially in Western diets, that omega-6 tends to be much higher in our nutrition in comparison to omega-3. And omega-3 is very important for the anti-inflammatory properties it contains. So therefore, look at your foods. So things like nuts, seeds, olive oil, which are very popular and very healthy, will be much higher in omega-6. Your omega-3s are very important, and you'll generally get them from fish, whether oily fish, sardines, salmon, mackerel, but any type of fish will contain omega-3s. Omega-3 is also in things like walnuts and chia seeds, but there's a higher ratio of omega-6. So you want to make sure you're getting enough omega-3 as well, and try and keep it away from all the omega-6s because they try to be absorbed at the same point in the body, and omega-6 tends to take priority. So please do always consider all of your omegas, but try and get that omega-3 in if you can. Now, with healthy fats, although they're very good for you, they are essentially fat and very high in calories. So if you are thinking about losing weight in order to increase your fertility, you might just want to monitor how much you're having. They are very good for you, but you don't want to be having lots and lots of salmon or mackerel because it's high in omega-3, but overdoing it and then meaning that your calorie intake is very high and then you're not able to lose weight, especially if you've been recommended to lower your BMI to increase your chances of conception. So just do consider that the fats are good, but they are high in calories as well. If you're on a weight loss journey, include them, but don't have too much. And then the third consideration with healthy fats is dietary restrictions. If you're vegan, if you're vegetarian, as I said before, you won't be eating fish. So your omega-3 could be quite low. And if you're hoping to maybe reduce inflammation in the body, I would certainly consider taking a vegan omega-3 supplement that is purely omega-3, EPA and DHA only, and taking this in quite high doses, but maybe away from food in, before breakfast, give it half an hour, or during the day. So in between meals, including your omega-3 if you have dietary restrictions that don't allow you to eat fish. So next on the list to include is whole grains. So you want to choose the high fiber carbohydrates, so the brown, grainier varieties of breads or pastas, brown rice, etc., rather than having the white, refined, processed carbohydrates. These are really beneficial for the gut and other physiological mechanisms in the body, just to keep everything working really well. Hormonal balance and hormonal metabolism they can also be beneficial for, as well as keeping insulin and blood glucose within a good range rather than being high, which the sort of high sugar, white refined carbs can do. Second point I have is naturally gluten-free. I have nothing against gluten. It can be a wonderful protein in many areas. However, if you are feeling a bit stressed because of trying to have a baby, which many are nowadays, gluten can sometimes worsen the effect on the gut that stress can sometimes cause. So you want to not take it out entirely, but maybe limit gluten. So go for rice, potatoes, quinoa, buckwheat, nuts and seeds. These are all really good carbohydrates that are high fibre as well, and some contain essential fatty acids that are really good for you and naturally gluten-free. You don't have to eliminate gluten, but again, if you are having pasta, bread, go for the whole grain varieties if you can, just to boost your nutrition and your fertility as well. And last on the list, I have eat the rainbow. Now I know fruits and vegetables aren't grains as such, but they are carbohydrates and they're really important to factor in here. The more colourful your nutrition is, the greater chance that you're getting all of your essential micronutrients, so your vitamins and minerals, which I will discuss later in the video. But these are really important. Eat the rainbow, keep it colourful, keep your carbs healthy and wholesome and high in fibre, naturally gluten-free if you can. So next on the list is the very popular macronutrient protein, which I can't recommend enough. It is really good for managing insulin and blood glucose levels, keeping the body strong, keeping the mechanisms working well. So I do recommend that you include quite a high amount of protein in your diet daily if you can. Plant versus animal, either or, whichever suits your dietary restrictions is fine. But just remember that animal proteins will contain higher amounts of protein in comparison to the other macronutrients contained within them. And in general, those who do eat meat and eggs and fish will have a higher protein intake in comparison to those who don't. Now you can get protein from nuts, seeds, legumes, but in general, they will not be anywhere near as high as the animal proteins. They'll also be lower in iron, which if you're a woman and you're wanting to get pregnant, you do have to consider your iron intake or your heme iron intake. Heme iron, blood iron, animal products will contain this, plant will not. Therefore, moving on to the next part, if you are vegan or vegetarian and don't feel you're really getting enough protein daily, I would recommend taking a supplement. So there are lots of vegan proteins available, powder or vegan protein powders available that you can mix into a smoothie in the morning and just ensure that you're getting a good dose early in the morning, and then incorporate other sources of protein where you can throughout the day. Again, if this happens to be through supplements, that's fine, but just ensure that you're meeting your daily requirements as often as you can. And then exercise considerations. So if you are exercising a lot, especially if you're doing strength-based exercises, these will utilize the protein in the body and help the muscles to grow. So make sure if you are exercising quite a lot and really, really killing it at the gym, that you get enough protein so that you don't get any kind of muscle breakdown that ends up leading to muscle loss. It's always a good consideration to factor in when we talk about protein, how much exercise you're doing and ensuring that your protein intake matches the exercise. So next on the list that is very important to boost your fertility is ensuring you get enough micronutrients in your nutrition. Your micronutrients are your vitamins and minerals. These do not contain calories, unlike your macronutrients, or your big nutrients, which are protein, fats, carbohydrates. Another macronutrient is alcohol, but we'll discuss that in the next slide. So as I said before, the best way to get your vitamins and your minerals in is colour. Eat the rainbow, colour is key. I've said this already, but it's worth repeating. The more varied the colour is in your nutrition, so lots of different colours every day, you will be safe in the knowledge that you are getting enough vitamins and minerals. Your fruit and veg ratio. So again, fruit and veg are the main places where you'll get really high amounts of different vitamins and minerals. Fruit is wonderful, sometimes gets a bad rep because it's high in sugar, but they are rich in essential vitamins and minerals, so please do not neglect fruit. What you need to prioritise with fruit is having it whole and raw if you can. Fruit juices are not the same, and constantly blending them into smoothies breaks them down as well. It's better to have it as it comes off the tree and straight in. There's no point in constantly blitzing them up to try and get lots and lots and lots of different ones in one sitting. It's fine to pick at fruit throughout the day if you want to ensure you're getting your vitamins and minerals in. However, when it comes to fruit and vegetables, it's better to have a higher ratio of vegetables in comparison to fruit, and this is also based again on sugar intake. So you do want to have your veg, your green veg, your salad, your root veg as well, which are also vary in colour. These are better to have in higher amounts in comparison to fruit. But don't stress if you're someone who really likes fruit but really can't take his palate vegetables. Then it's okay to have a little bit more fruit if that's the only way you're going to get your vitamins and minerals in. And another thing I want to discuss are herbs and spices. Again, really high in essential vitamins and minerals, really good at helping the body function well and boosting fertility. So don't forget your herbs and spices as well when it comes to micronutrients. So I've told you what foods to include to improve your fertility. Here's what you should avoid. Processed foods. I can't say this enough. Those foods that have been overly processed contain high amounts of trans fat. They're often referred to as hydrogenated oils or partially hydrogenated vegetable oils. Are really, really dangerous when it comes to ovulation. They can actually interfere with ovulation. They also can cause inflammation in the body and can stop the absorption of essential fatty acids like omega-3 and omega-6. So please check your ingredients list. Things like biscuits, cakes, all those crisps and nasty things we shouldn't be having lots of, maybe a little but not a lot, will contain trans fats, and these are not good for your fertility at all. You also want to look out for high amounts of sugar to help manage insulin and glucose levels. If it's high in sugar, insulin and glucose will spike, and again this can lead to inflammation and is really not good when you are trying to conceive. So please avoid processed foods as much as you can. The best way to do this is look at the ingredients list on the back of the packet. If it's a long list and doesn't seem that close to source or looks an unnatural colour, then it is highly processed, especially if the ingredients you cannot even pronounce and look very chemical or things you should avoid, then avoid it. If you're uncertain, you can always check online what certain ingredients are, but in general, the fewer ingredients, the closer to source it is, the better it is for you and the less processed it is. So processed food, 1, avoid. Number 2 is alcohol. Now, I know it's nice to sometimes relax and unwind with possibly a glass of wine or a beer or a spirit, whichever you prefer. But when you are thinking about your fertility and you're wanting to start trying to get pregnant, you should really be limiting your alcohol at least. Alcohol, again, can have an effect on inflammation. It also takes its toll on the liver and can actually stop the absorption of zinc, which is highly important for fertility. Both men and women really need their zinc to be optimum when it comes to conception. So alcohol can prevent that absorption, and it also can decrease the amount of glutathione in the body, which is a really powerful antioxidant and really important for keeping you healthy and improving your fertility. So please avoid alcohol, or at least limit it as much as possible while trying to conceive. And another thing to avoid, it's not necessarily a micronutrient or macronutrient, but mindless eating. I deal a lot with people who have maybe high stress jobs and are wondering why they can't get pregnant. If you are eating all these wonderful, amazing foods, everything I've listed in the previous slides, that's great, but you have to think, how am I eating? Sit down, relax, be able to concentrate and focus on food, and let eating be that thing that you are doing in that moment, rather than typing up and sending emails whilst having a bite or having a drink. That's mindless eating, and you must avoid that, because you will not be able to digest your food properly. And if you don't digest your food properly, you are not getting all your essential macro and micronutrients absorbed into the body so that you can optimize your health and promote your fertility. So just a few other considerations to factor in to help boost your nutrition to improve fertility. Supplements. A lot of people now will take multivitamins and multiminerals that are designed for those who are trying to get pregnant. So they make father-to-be multivitamins and multiminerals, and mother-to-be multivitamins and multi-mineral supplements. Feel free to take these. They can be really beneficial when it comes to boosting your fertility. So just make sure you're paying a decent amount and do some research as well online for the best supplements to take. And again, keeping it organic, close to source, is always best. So a good supplement, pre-pregnancy supplement, is always beneficial for both men and women to consider. Another factor is hydration. So it's great that you're eating all the right foods, but remember to drink minimum around 2 litres of water per day. Now your fluid intake all mounts up. So if you're someone who drinks a lot of coffee, a lot of tea, that will add to your fluid, but try not to have caffeine too late in the day. And don't forget that your fruits, vegetables and watery type foods will also add to your fluid intake. So if you feel it difficult to drink water just as it is, you can have other drinks or other high water containing foods. But just try and avoid the, again, processed sugary fizzy drinks, too many fruit juices. Try and have things like herbal teas or sparkling water with maybe a little flavouring in it if you don't like having water on its own. And keeping your veg and fruit high will ensure that you get adequate hydration each day. And finally, lifestyle factors. So good exercise, mindfulness, meditation, mindful eating. These are all really beneficial when it comes to fertility. Remaining calm and relaxed and healthy and energetic where necessary at different points during the day are essential. And also prioritize sleep. Make sure you're getting enough sleep each night. You should be aiming for 8 hours a night if you can. I appreciate lifestyle, work, children can all come into that, but truly benefiting your sleep pattern and improving your sleep routine is essential for helping fertility for both men and women. So to conclude, your final thoughts for the day. I know I've spoken about a lot of different things, and maybe to take on everything all at once may seem overwhelming. So the best thing you can do now is make small, gradual changes, whether it's daily trying to add something in or take something out, or weekly saying, okay, this week I'm really going to prioritize my omega-3 intake. Then the following week I'm going to try and eat as much gluten-free food, naturally gluten-free food as I can. And then the following week I'm going to up my exercise a bit. That's a better way to do it. Trying to do everything, taking all the information all at once and do everything usually will fail. Prepare yourself, have a strategy, have a timeline moving forward of how you're going to make changes is important. So don't think you have to do it all at once. Make small gradual changes where you can. And remember that nutrition is not just fuel. It's not just to supply you with energy to get through the day. Think of the wonderful, nourishing components of your food, the good macronutrients, the good micronutrients, all those healthy, beneficial, essential ingredients in close to source whole foods are benefiting your body and making sure everything is functioning well. It's not just fuel and energy or calories in, calories out. It's about making sure the body is at its optimum in order to conceive a child. And then number 3, please find support and get help for your difficult areas. Some people will find it easy to exercise all day long, every day. They love it, they can't get enough, but then might not have the best nutrition or maybe their eating habits might not be great. However, you've got the other side. People might enjoy eating loads of healthy foods but find it difficult to get to the gym or go exercise, or they just can't be bothered. And then there are those who will never exercise and don't have very good nutrition either. Figure out where you need the help and find somebody to help you, because good advice and support is always a good way to make changes and change behaviours in your lifestyle patterns so that you can improve your fertility and overall health. So thank you so much for listening. I hope this has been helpful. Take care.